Welcome back to Ancient Echoes, where ruins aren't silent, myths aren't just metaphor, and history is always more than a list of dates and dead empires. I'm Chelsea, and today we're trading bronze blades and burial mounds for something less tangible but far more enduring: stories. Not marble monuments or engraved tablets, not official decrees or imperial manifestos, just stories. Told by firelight, remembered by heart, sung, whispered, shaped and reshaped through generations. Because while the Celts never built empires in the Roman sense, with no standardized bureaucracy, no alphabetically organized libraries, they did something arguably more powerful. They embedded their world into story. This episode is a journey not just through the tales themselves, but through the telling of them. We'll explore the oral tradition of the Celtic world and what it meant to memorize a cosmology, the complicated legacy of a Christian scribes who recorded these myths long after the Druids had vanished, and how the surviving tales still shimmer with mystery, tragedy, transformation, and time distortion. You might find yourself wondering where the myths end and the meanings begin, and that's exactly the point. So settle in, light the imaginary hearth fire if you like, and let's begin where every Celtic tale begins. Not with a date, but with a sense that the world is more than it appears. Before pen met parchment, the Celts kept their world alive with breath. Their stories weren't meant to be read, they were meant to be heard, felt, remembered, and most importantly, retold. Celtic society was deeply oral. There was no native writing system in early Celtic culture, which means everything: laws, lineages, cosmologies, moral codes, even agricultural calendars were passed down through the spoken word. It wasn't casual storytelling either, it was performance. The Druids and bards were trained for decades to memorize thousands of lines of verse, myth, and history. A Druid wasn't just a priest, they were a walking archive, essentially. Now, let's pause for a second. Imagine training for 20 years just to be allowed to quote the mythic origin of your people correctly in public. This wasn't light entertainment, this was sacred. But then came the Romans, and with them, Christianity, Latin, literacy, and reinterpretation. Many of the Celtic myths we read today weren't recorded until centuries later, written down by Christian monks who, to their credit, preserved these stories, but not always in their original form. Gone were the thunder gods and shape-shifting druids in their full, unfiltered glory. In came moral framing, softened supernatural elements, and sometimes suspiciously tidy resolutions. Let's be honest, the monks meant well, but they were editing from a different worldview. They weren't just scribes, they were translators, and translators with an agenda. Sometimes the changes were subtle. A god became a nobleman, a goddess becomes a maiden in distress. Other times, entire plot lines are reframed to resemble biblical journeys, cautionary tales, or symbolic allegories. But the bones of the old stories remain. The other world still glows just beneath the surface. The magic hasn't disappeared, it's just hiding in plain sight. So when we read these tales like the Mabinogi and the Voyage of Mael Duin or the Swan Children of Lir, we're not just reading literature, we're listening to echoes. Echoes of a worldview where the sacred was wild, the gods were flawed, and the world was always just one misty veil away from the realm beyond. Let's open the ancient manuscript and step into the Mabinogi, a collection of medieval Welsh tales that echo with the remnants of the older Celtic world. These stories are poetic, philosophical, fantastical, and yes, at times a bit strange in the best possible way. But don't let the manuscripts fool you. They're built on much older oral traditions, layered over with Christian influence, political intrigue, and the uncanny logic of myth. So let's unpack the 4 core stories of the Mabinogi, also called the 4 branches. Each one a window into a world where the veil between human and divine is paper thin. Let's start with branch 1, Pwyll, Prince of Dyfed. I'm going to do the best I can with these pronunciations, but Welsh is hard to pronounce. Meet Pwyll. He's a mortal prince with good intentions, but less than perfect judgment. In an accidental act of otherworldly identity theft, he swaps places for a year and a day with Aran, a ruler of the other world. And somehow, miraculously, he doesn't mess it up. He rules justly. He defeats Aran's enemy. He even refrains from sleeping with his wife. And for an Iron Age princeling, that's practically sainthood. The tale is more than a story of politeness, though. It's about balance between worlds. Pwyll earns a supernatural ally, and later, a supernatural wife, Rhiannon, a goddess-like figure with a past more mysterious than her horse's gait. Their courtship? Strange. Their marriage? Even stranger. At one point, Rhiannon is even accused of eating her own baby. Spoiler alert, she didn't, but the public punishment she endures, carrying visitors on her back like a beast of burden, reminds us just how tightly myth and morality are woven together in these tales. In Branch 2, Branwen, daughter of Lir, if Pwyll was a myth about harmony, Branwen is a cautionary tale about fractured alliances. Branwen, sister to the giant King Bran, is married off to the King of Ireland to secure peace. But when her brother, Usheen, who deserves his own therapy scroll, insults the Irish party and mutilates their horses, the political marriage quickly sours. Branwen is abused, a bird is sent, war erupts, and by the end of the tale, nearly everyone is dead. Bronn's severed head becomes a relic, Branwen dies of grief, and we're left with one of the most tragic, haunting myths in the cycle. What does it tell us? That hospitality is sacred, that pride can be poison, and that grief, when ignored, can drown a kingdom. Then we move into Branch 3, Manawydan, son of Lir. So the survivors of the previous story are emotionally exhausted and spiritually cursed. Enter Manawydan. He's not a warrior or a king, he's more of a thinker. And Manawydan is a story about resilience. He and Rhiannon, yes, that Rhiannon from Branch 1, are cursed by magic, exiled from their lands, and constantly displaced. But instead of fighting, he adapts. He learns trades, moves towns, reinvents himself. Eventually, his patience leads to the lifting of the curse and restoration of their lands. It's a rare Celtic tale where peace is earned not through bloodshed, but through cleverness, diplomacy, and let's be honest, survival instincts that every professor can relate to. Then we move into Branch 4, Math, son of Manawydan. Now we're entering the deep end. This branch begins with an oddly specific requirement. Math, ruler of Gwynedd, can only survive if his feet are held in the lap of a virgin when he's not at war. Yeah, you heard that right. From there, we descend into a spiral of betrayal, magical deception, and transformation. Gwydion, a magician and master manipulator, tricks Math into going to war just so his brother can assault Math's foot maiden, and that's just Act 1. Later, Gwydion uses his powers to help create a woman, Blodeuwedd, formed from flowers to be a wife for a man cursed to never wed a mortal. It does not go well. Blodeuwedd falls in love with someone else and conspires to murder her husband. She's caught, of course, and punished, not with death, but with transformation. She's turned into an owl, doomed to be hated by other birds, and renamed Flower Face. It's a story steeped in sorrow, symbolism, and the ever-present Celtic theme of metamorphosis. The four branches aren't just myths, they're mirrors. They reflect a world where fate and free will are always wrestling, where honor is fragile, and where transformation is both punishment and possibility. They remind us that stories don't need to make perfect sense to be perfectly true. If the Mabinogi branches taught us about fate, identity, and the tangled cords of consequence, these next stories, the Swan Children of Lir and Usheen in the Island of Youth, turn the volume up on something even deeper. Longing. Longing for home. Longing for lost time. Longing for a world that once was, or never quite was. These aren't heroic tales with neat endings. They're laments. Beautiful, haunting reflections on the fragility of life, the weight of grief, and the ache of transformation. Let's start with the Swan Children of Lir. This Irish tale reads like a dream wrapped in a curse. King Lir has 4 beloved children, Fionnuala, Ado, and twins Fakra and Con. Well, all is well until Lir remarries. His new wife, Oife, is not exactly a fan of step-parenting. Driven by jealousy or perhaps a deeply misguided commitment to minimalism, she curses the children, turning them into swans for 900 years. Yes, 900. They're doomed to live 3 centuries on each of Ireland's most desolate waterways, unable to become human again until the arrival of Christianity and the sound of church bells. This is where myth intersects with history. The swans' suffering ends when Ireland converts, and they finally regain human form, only to die almost immediately, old and frail. This isn't Disney, this is Celtic myth, where redemption and loss often arrive hand in hand. The Swan children don't get the happy ending we want them to, but they do get a meaningful one. Now let's talk about Usheen and the Island of Youth, also sometimes known as Usheen, the son of a legendary hero, Fionn Mac Cahal. He falls in love with Naim, a radiant woman from Turnanog, the otherworld's land of youth. It's paradise. No sickness, no aging, no death. Time stands still, the perfect vacation spot until Usheen, or Usheen, feels that old pull of home. He asks to return to Ireland to see his people, and Nama reluctantly agrees, only with one condition. She begs him, don't dismount the horse. Please, whatever you do not dismount the horse. Which is classic myth, red flag, because of course he does. And when he touches the ground, centuries catch up with him in a heartbeat. His youth withers, his strength fails. Everyone he knew is gone. The Ireland he remembered is a ghost. The lesson here isn't subtle. Time moves forward, no matter how magical your detour. And sometimes returning home isn't the solution, it's the heartbreak. Together, these 2 stories speak to the Celtic obsession with liminality, the in-between state, the thresholds, the edges on the map, swans that are not quite human, islands that are not quite real, time that is not quite linear. They whisper something we still recognize in our bones, that loss and wonder often travel together, that the more beautiful a moment is, the more fragile it becomes. Some stories follow heroes into battle. Others send them across time. But this one puts them in a boat and throws the map overboard. The voyage of Mael Duin is what scholars call an imram, or an Irish voyage tale. Part spiritual quest, part survival saga, and part surreal fever dream. Think the Odyssey, but with fewer gods and more sentient cats. Mael Duin begins with a classic Celtic motivation: revenge. He sets sail to find the raiders who burned his home and killed his father, but things don't go to plan. Not that plans ever really survive long in Celtic storytelling, but soon Mael Duin and his foster brothers are blown off course, and their journey shifts from one of vengeance to one of discovery. It's a shift worth noticing. In fact, many scholars argue that that's the whole point. Each island that they visit is stranger than the last one. Some are funny, some are terrifying, some are very oddly philosophical. An island of laughing people who can't stop giggling until one of Mael Duin's crew joins in and gets stuck there forever. Or an island with a magical apple tree where a single apple can feed them for weeks. You also have an island of burning cats. No, I'm not making that up. There's an island of women who try to trap Mael Duin in eternal domesticity. There's a glass bridge, a silver column, a house of hospitality. Every stop feels like a parable disguised as fantasy. These islands aren't just hazards, they're mirrors, reflecting desire, temptation, wisdom, and foolishness. The ocean becomes a spiritual classroom, and Mael Duin is its reluctant student. By the time Mael Duin reaches the place where he could have taken revenge, he doesn't. Why? Well, because he's changed. The sea, the trials, the losses, they've all reshaped him. What began as a quest for blood ends in forgiveness, maturity, and spiritual growth. It's the ancient equivalent of starting a road trip to confront your nemesis and ending up at a yoga retreat. This, too, is deeply Celtic. The idea that transformation is the true goal. Not conquest, not closure, but becoming something wiser on the other side of chaos. The voyage of Mael Duin is absolutely absurd. It's rich and slippery, and just when you think you understand the pattern, the story changes course. It's playful and profound, reminding us that the journey matters more than the destination. But sometimes what saves you isn't the sword in your hand, but the story that carries you forward. So why does this storytelling still matter? The Celts didn't build massive stone empires. They didn't leave behind treaties or manifestos. What they left was story. And not just any stories, layered, emotionally rich, wildly imaginative tales that refuse to be nailed down. They shift with each telling, they echo across generations and defy the clean lines we love to draw around history. These are stories that let warriors cry, let kings fall, let women shapeshift into birds, and let the other world leak into ours with no warning and no apology. We tend to think of written literature as permanent, but in the Celtic world, it was memory that mattered, voice, rhythm, performance. Every story told was also retold, refined, reimagined. And when those stories finally hit the page, thanks to those medieval monks scribbling furiously in candlelight, they brought with them not just plot, but presence. A whisper of campfires, councils of bardic chants layered underneath the Latin ink. So why do these stories still hit? Because they wrestle with the same questions we do now. What does loyalty look like in a broken world? How do we survive loss? Is fate something we fight or something we fulfill? Can beauty coexist with betrayal? Whether it's Pwyll trading places with a god, Branwen watching a kingdom fall, or Mael Duin rowing into the unknown, these stories remind us that the human condition has always been complicated, glorious, and full of mystery. In a way, storytelling was the Celts' greatest act of resistance. They were conquered, absorbed, scattered, but the stories did survive. Carried on tongues, passed through generations, disguised in fairy tales, hidden in poetry, and eventually stitched into the cultural DNA of Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and beyond. Storytelling didn't just preserve their culture, it was their culture. And maybe that's why we're still telling these tales now, because like the Celts, we know that to tell a story is to refuse to be forgotten. Thanks for joining me today on today's episode of Ancient Echoes. If you're walking away with anything, I hope it's this. Stories aren't just about the past. They're tools for making sense of the present and imagining a different future. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and never underestimate the power of a well-told tale.